Hello, patrons.
We're snuggled up really tight.
Ooh.
It's cold in this apartment. Ooh. It's not really cold. This is the only way we can both fit on camera.
And without having this huge glaring light in here. We don't actually have professional camera equipment. This is just on my phone.
But we do it all for you.
We do.
Dear Patreons.
And we're doing something really cool for you this month. April in Cancel Too Soon Land is pilot season. And that means two different things. One, it means that all of the episodes of the show proper will be reviews of failed pilot episodes. They're some of the ones that people say they're like the best, so we thought it'd be fun to do a whole month of them. But also...
there's some like weird ones that we've culled up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, often if they only lasted one episode, they're often very weird.
Yeah.
So we find some fun little tidbits. But also, we're coming up on the end of our second year of doing Cancel Too Soon, and we want to goose up our Patreon a bit and come up with some...
Our show is this many. It's this
yes,
many.
Thank you.
1, 2.
But we want to goose up our Patreon, and we want to maybe change some of the perks a bit and give you guys some new stuff. So, and we're going to put together a new bonus podcast in addition to the Cancel Too Soon monthly movie, in addition to Cancel Too Soon, which will also be exclusive for patrons. But we thought it'd be fun to put you in the position of a studio executive and let you choose which show we take to series. So throughout the month of April, we're going to do 4 pilot episodes for 4 bonus podcasts, and we're at the end of the month, you're going to get to pick.
This is an entire separate podcast with us. It's its own theme, its own set of rules, its own parameters. And this will come out exclusively once a month, I believe, is our
Probably
plan.
Monthly, at least at first. Yeah.
If somehow we find we're like making a living doing this, we'll do it weekly.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to.
But yeah. The plan is to do this once every month, and it is going to be just for you Patreon subscribers.
Yes. Now, I believe we're probably going to make this exclusive for the $10 and up Patreon subscribers. However... every Patreon subscriber, even if you donate only $1 a month, will get access to the podcasts, and you're going to get them a little early, and then we're also going to release them on the main feed a couple of days after they premiere on Patreon. So everyone, whether you contribute just the smallest amount you can, and we love you for contributing everything you can, or whether you are one of our top tier members, you're all going to get the pilots, and then later on. But we're going to introduce real fast. We talked a little bit about them on the show. We're going to talk about the ideas we have for bonus podcasts, and we'll tell you about what we're thinking, where they come from, and what the plan is. So the first show we're going to debut is Cancel...
Hang on. Show number 1. Give some fanfare. Don't just say it. Show number 1.
2. The show is this many. Show number 1, Cancel Too Soon, the home game. Earlier this year, we reviewed one game show. We've had a lot of requests for game shows, but we feel like it's kind of a different conversation, so we thought it'd be fun to put the game shows in their own little corner. Now, we wouldn't only review failed game shows, we'd also review just old, weird, defunct game shows. So every month, we would explore a different game show. This is the first show we're going to be popping out with you with a pilot episode, and we found a really weird one. At least weird in its existence.
So what the idea is, we will try to be as succinct as possible when describing the rules to the game, which can be really, really complicated.
Sometimes
they can be pretty dang complicated.
Yeah.
There's a cooking show I would love to do at some point.
Oh yeah, I was just watching. Was it Shop Till You Drop? My wife Michelle was a huge fan of Shop Till You Drop.
I haven't seen that one.
It's basically like this cheapo version of The Price is Right, set in like an empty strip mall. It's kind of spooky, but like all of like the little mini games are really super lame. And there's one where it's like, hey, we're gonna blindfold your husband and yourself, and we're gonna tell you what kind of hat you need to find in this box. You need to find that hat and put it on your husband. And what's weird is that the assistant...
And here's the thing. Your husband is a Wolverine.
That would be weird. That's just a boring party game. But what happens is they walk over here and they see the blindfolds. And the host says, I know you see the blindfolds. You know what the blindfold means. We're about to bring out Mark Wahlberg. What?
And you have to put your hat on... Mark Wahlberg, but he's hiding.
Mark Wahlberg
and he's dressed as a Christmas tree, or
the like lackey on the show happened to be named Mark Wahlberg,
and it's not Mark.
It's not Mark Wahlberg.
Not Academy Award nominee.
It was
Mark
super
Wahlberg.
weird to watch. It was super bizarre. So that's one show, but we're actually going to be doing for our first episode Trump Card, Donald Trump's game show. Remember that?
One of his many failed endeavors.
I'm talking about the one from the 90s. It was a trivia show. Weird.
Trivia. Donald Trump and trivia.
After that, the next episode we're going to be doing is Average Fest.
Oh, this was my idea.
Whitney had this idea a long ass time ago.
There was a time a brief period when I worked for Nerdist Industries, and I guess I'm still technically part of the family, although they haven't published one of my articles in a long time.
Yeah. But you haven't burned a bridge or nothing. Like,
no,
you can come back if they ever
I can come back if I need to. But they said keep pitching us ideas, and I pitched them like 5 ideas a week for like regular series articles and a lot of podcasts. And one of my podcast ideas was Average Fest. Indeed, one of my podcast ideas was Cancel Too Soon.
That's right. That's how this show got started.
Average Fest was the idea was to look back over film history, usually like within the last 10 to 15 years max. And and just look at the lists of what was released in a year and come up with those titles where you have that flash of recognition. I think I may have seen that. And there's nothing extraordinary about it.
Like, it's not bad. It's like
wasn't
5
bad.
out of 10. You can watch it, but then 6 months later, you're confusing it for another movie you already saw.
Yeah. There were a lot of films with like Amy Smart and Rachel Lee Cook and Chris Klein. You know, there's a whole
Which Katherine Heigl rom-com did I watch?
Yeah. There's a lot of these romantic movies, a lot of these forgettable action movies that I feel needed some sort of reconsideration. Is there something to be said in this film that has remained completely unextraordinary for its entire life? I want to bring those films back up and have a conversation about them and see if they're worthy, if they're as good as remember, if they're as bad as remember, if we even remember them.
I think our goal basically is to find the most mediocre movie ever.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah, this is to find the one where it's fine. It's fine. You can watch it.
Because when you really think about it, that's maybe 70 to 80% of films that are released.
Like,
they're in the middle.
After a while, it's just like, yeah, watch that. Was it any good? It's fine. Like, it's the example I've been using a lot is try to remember if you've seen the movie What Happens in Vegas or if you've seen Last Vegas. Like, they're both kind of fine, you know, but like I don't remember which one's which anymore.
Which one of those films was Julia Stiles in?
We're finalizing our pick for what movie we're going to start with, but the one I'm pushing for is American Assassin.
I haven't seen
which
American
is
Assassin.
Just
I don't
sort
think.
of there. But the next podcast we'll be doing on the list is
podcast number 3.
This is one that actually has been suggested by several Cancel Too Soon fans as sort of like a bonus idea. This is, and I think we're still debating on the title of this. We'll figure it out by the time the episode comes out.
We don't have an official title.
I'm calling it the Cancel Too Soon Randomizer. And what happens is, you know, we watch a lot of shows that failed. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you review a whole bunch of like shows that didn't fail? And I'm like, well, that's like 7, 8, 9 seasons sometimes, and we don't have time. So it'd be kind of fun to look at a show that neither Whitney and I are familiar with.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, you know, we've watched a lot of TV, but there's a lot of stuff we've... Name like a big show you've never watched at all.
Well, that's easy. All of them. Every single... I don't watch the popular shows, ever.
Fair enough.
I have never seen Game of Thrones.
Wow.
I haven't seen a single episode of Game of Thrones.
Okay, well, that'd be weird. We'd probably try to find one that neither of us have seen, but regardless. Anyway, we're going to pick a show at random. And we're going to pick an episode at random. We're just going to, like, roll a dice, and we're just going to... it's a 6 and a 4. We're going to see Season 6, Episode 4, and we're just going to watch it completely without context and try to figure out what's going on. And we think that'll be kind of fun as sort of an experiment, because it used to be that you could pick up shows that way.
You could have, like, a bottle episode.
Yeah, you could watch the 6th season of Murder, She Wrote and figure it out.
Yeah,
you didn't need anymore.
The premise is there, and the story is contained.
Yeah,
and
you might not get all the jokes. You might not understand like the way it's constructed. You might get the wrong idea about what's important and what's not. But you'll be able to appreciate the show basically. But a lot of shows are very story based right now. Like if we watch like Season 3, Episode 7 of Damages, would we have any fucking idea?
I don't even know the premise of that show.
Yeah, like Season 2, Episode 20 of How to Get Away with Murder. No idea. Would I have any idea what's going on? It would probably be really interesting to find out. And if you're a fan of the show, you'd probably just be screaming at us, I know the plot, you morons!
So we would extrapolate what we think happened before that episode.
Yeah.
The point is to do no research.
None whatsoever.
We're not going to look into what the premise is. We're just going to watch it as blindly as possible.
Yep.
And we're going to try to extrapolate from one episode where the series had come from, and where we think it's going to go. You probably already know.
And this will be just
and it's going to drive you crazy.
Hopefully it's a funny exploration of our ignorance. That's basically what it is. We like to come at this from a position of authority. Maybe we're dumbasses. There you go. And then lastly, tell them about the last podcast idea.
The last podcast idea is also a movie idea. And we were going to go through... And there's only one of these that we cannot do. Because it is lost.
Yeah.
But we are going to watch every single film that has been nominated, not has won, but has been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. Now, everybody, there are millions upon millions of podcasts and article series based on the winners of Best Picture.
Sure.
And a lot of people do that as a big, just sort of film project for personal fulfillment.
And a lot of people will watch all the nominees every single year, but not a lot of people will go back to the beginning of the Academy Awards and watch every single nominee.
And I've seen every nominee from the present going back to... I think the one whole going back is Finding Neverland. I still haven't seen that.
You mean recently?
Recently. I mean,
yeah.
I have a pretty solid streak of seeing every single Best Picture nominee.
Yeah, I can't remember the last Best Picture nominee I didn't see. It would have been in the 90s for me.
That far back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was real hardcore about the Oscars for a long time. But
I have seen Best Picture winners from the 20s and 30s, but I have seen few of the other nominees. In fact, you probably haven't even heard of a lot of those nominees.
Yeah, and the thing is, these movies are down there for posterity, so we think it'd be real fun to, like, sort of, re-explore them and ultimately decide what should have won.
Well, what should have won?
It'll be part of the conversation.
It'll definitely be part of the conversation.
It's not the point, but it'll be fun to talk about.
It will be more interesting to explore what American film culture was like the year something like that would have been nominated.
Yeah, and we can talk also about some of the films that weren't nominated that year, like, every year there's a whole bunch of weird snubs.
Right.
So it'll be really, really fun to talk about, and we would go chronologically. We'd start from the first year of the Academy Awards. I believe the first year there were only 3 nominees, and they were all silents.
Yeah.
And then there were a few silent nominees the year after that, and then from there on out it was all talkies.
Until The Artist.
But even The Artist had some audio. It was a sync sound movie.
Okay, fine.
It was a sync sound movie. It just didn't have dialogue for most of it.
And I can't wait because, as we all know, the Academy likes to nominate things that are just sort of flashes in the pan or like just sort of have the public consciousness at the moment and then are completely forgotten.
And sometimes they even win. I mean, when was the last time anyone talked about, like, except for the fact that it won an Academy for Best Picture, Around the World in 80 Days or The Greatest Show on Earth?
Or even more recent ones like Shakespeare in Love.
Mostly we talk about those because they won Best Picture.
Yeah. Just because they won Best Picture.
They're not bad movies, I would say, but like...
Had Shakespeare in Love not won Best Picture, it would be a footnote.
I think if Shakespeare in Love
a fun Shakespeare speculative
I'm going to throw it out there.
Film.
I think it's one of those movies that if it had not won Best Picture, its reputation would be better today.
I think you're right.
Because people would just appreciate, yes, this really fun,
it's actually
clever.
Kind of a cute little...
Yeah, they really did their research, threw a whole bunch of Shakespeare jokes in there. It's a good movie. I really like Shakespeare in Love. Is it Best Picture? Not that year. It was up against The Thin Red Line.
Saving Private Ryan.
And
other better
Elizabeth,
movies.
Which is a fantastic movie no one talks about. Anyway, there's a ton of those. It would take us forever to catch up to it. We'd do it every month because after like a few years, they actually start going to 10 nominees for a while. So it'd be a big project. But you know us, we love curating stuff. We're big on history and like kind of absorbing everything.
This would essentially be a podcast about the 1930s for a long time.
for almost a year. But I think it'd be really, really fun. And I think it's one that maybe... if that one gets picked, maybe we'll consider after it premieres on Patreon, like a month later, maybe we release that as a separate podcast as well.
Perhaps.
Because that's a big one. And I think maybe that's what we're talking about. But if it would always be exclusive for Patreon, at least for a while. The others would be Patreon exclusives in toto, I suspect, at least initially. But those are going to be your options. We're going to release episodes. We're going to try to about one a week, but they'll all be out by the end of April. And then at the end of April, you will have a poll, and we will get started making more, and it'll be really fun.
And we want to give you more. We love you so much, and we want to make sure that you have enough of us to go around.
When we started the Patreon, we had big ideas, and some of the things have come together better than others. And we're trying to be better about that. We know we need to do more Google Hangouts and stuff like that, but we want to do more. We want to make sure we give you more bonus content that we can provide easily, and not easily per se, but regularly.
Yeah.
With real quality, like real quality content, not just throwing stuff up, because I'm not much of an editor when it comes to videos. Like, I would love to do really cool videos for you guys.
Yeah, we're not set up to do like scripted content or anything like that.
This is my phone right now. This is midnight.
But we do what we do, and we're happy to have you along with us, and we would love to have your say and hear what you want from us, because we'd be happy to provide.
Anyway, so thank you very much. Welcome to pilot season, and stick around, because later today we're going to post our pilot season poll, where you're going to pick one of the shows that we review in the month of April. So we got some really weird ones on the docket, so stick around.